a passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver. Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes, where we're changing the world, wait for it, one ohm at a time. Here on the Dr. Kevin Show, we like to have a variety of guests from all different kinds of beliefs, ideologies, walks of life, things to help you expand, grow, maybe just learn something new. As everybody in the world has been credited to saying, if you learn something new, it was a good day. And I'm going to tell you, it would be a rare day, a rare Dr. Kevin show that you didn't learn something new, because those are the kind of guests we get. As always on the Dr. Kevin show, though, it is a live call-in show. You can call in at 202-570-7057. That's 202-570-7057. Also, you can go to facebook.com/MyDrKevin, MYDRKEVIN. Like the page when you're there. I'm a likable guy. And you can see the write-up about tonight's show. And you can post questions there. And as long as they are respectful, we will bring them on air. If you are listening to this other than Thursday night between 6 and 7 p.m., then you are not listening to the live call-in show. You are listening to either a rebroadcast, a replay, or the podcast. In either case, please don't call in. My producer doesn't like it when my people call in on other people's shows. Just go to the Facebook page. Again, My Dr. Kevin, MYDRKEVIN. Post your question there. I will either answer it, or if it's for our guest, I will hunt our guest down. I pick them up by their ankles. I turn them upside down, and I shake an answer out for you. That's what I do. But we will get your questions answered. Now, we start the Dr. Kevin Show. Quick reminder that we only have guests a couple times a month now because we have set shows the first, second, and either the third or fourth, depending on whether there's 4 or 5 Thursdays in that month, are all set shows now. First one is with Matt Connerton, and we talk about the politics of the day. Second one is Thoughtful Thursdays with Reverend Lori Powers Otto, where we talk about thoughtful people in the world and thoughtful actions, things to give you hope and inspire and motivate you. And that third or fourth, depending on how many Thursdays we have, are planetary influences, where we look at the upcoming astrology. And then the other 1 or 2 of the month are when I now have my guests. When we have guests, I always start with a hot topic. Once we have had the hot topic, then we invite the guest to comment on it, and then I will introduce the guest, and then we're off to the races. So tonight's hot topic, I've been trying to change up my hot topics. Hot topic can either get me hot under the collar or make me warm and fuzzy. So tonight's a hot under the collar, and it's going to sound a little bit like I'm going back to some of my old ones. I'm apologizing ahead of time, but it's my radio show, and if you want to tune out, feel free to do so. So I think the last figure I saw, and it wasn't not that long ago, was $332.7 million spent on golf trips for our bully in chief. Now, that money would have more than covered all the people that he fired, let go of, that were supposed to keep a health watch on something like a pandemic happening or a health crisis. But he eliminated those people who, I will guarantee you, in the last 2 years would not have made $332.7 million, which our bully in chief spent playing golf instead of running our country. Well, actually, he was running it into the ground, but he was running it in between putts. Not to be confused with a putts, which is a good description of him. And now we have the coronavirus. I'm not pronouncing it right. But everybody knows what I'm talking about. And it has begun to hit the U.S. We do have some here. We have our first case where it's defined as where the person got it. Like there's no line of connection. How bad is it going to get? We don't know. Am I trying to scare you? Well, I'm trying to scare you that we need to get putts out of the office, okay? But besides that, no, I'm not trying to scare you. I don't come from that kind of mentality. But I want a reality check here. The man goes on and screws up the information about flu. This virus, the coronavirus, is 20 times more deadly per people who catch it than the flu, and he said that the flu was more. That's just not even an acceptable mistake. I mean, he challenged it and he got it completely wrong, and he's making stupid comments. Oh, well, it'll all be resolved by April. Not going to happen. So that's my hot under the collar. My hot under the collar is that there are still people out there that hear this stupidity and defend it because their 401k looks good. Though after the last few days, it doesn't look as good as it used to. But, you know, it's called blood money. And you will pay the price for it. Because trust me, when everything is said and done, there was no check coming in the mail to pay for the amount of lube for the screw job that you're getting with this presidency. Not that I have any opinions. And now we'll bring on tonight's guest, who will get to comment on the hot topic, and then we will introduce him more fully, and we will listen to why he is on tonight's show. Tonight's guest is Rik Yeames. Rik!
Hi, Dr. Kevin.
Hi, welcome. So that's the hot topic. Do you have anything you'd like to say about it? You want to tell me how wonderful he is? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm not a cheerleader for our current administration, but I do think it's valuable to just realize, in my humble opinion, when he does all this crazy stuff, and there's certainly an endless amount, it often makes you forget what he did yesterday or last week, because what he's doing today or tonight or planning on doing tomorrow is so much more crazier. So I think we've all just gotten a little numb to it, and I think it's just valuable to not get sucked into the latest thing he does, even though many of them are pretty bad, and just to remember that it's not just one thing he's done, it's a whole couple of years, and just to remember that there are many, many, many things that, many reasons to exercise your vote later on this year.
Yeah, you know, the shell game president, as I call him, that, you know, is doing all sorts of damage when he's, you know, acting like a buffoon over here or saying or doing outrageous things over here. And then, you know, is screwing over, you know, the middle class, or he's screwing over the environment or our future children's climate, all of that stuff. That's one thing. He actually was confused and really didn't know what he was talking about, and was doing a horrible job of you know, doing anything to look presidential. Forget about that, but just that this is the guy that has all this power. This is part of what makes me so hot under the collar. Yes, I agree about the shell game. And it goes on, and I talk about it all the time. But the fact that he really is so stupid about this makes me feel like he is very likely to really botch this, like we haven't had a health crisis botched since Reagan botched AIDS and HIV. Or Mike Pence did in Indiana, trying to pray it away. But anyways, now let's...
I would agree with that.
Rik was born in West Hartford, Connecticut, and from an early age, his mission in life was to help others. After graduating from the University of Connecticut with a biology of science degree, he worked in emergency medical sales for the next 5 years, and then he discovered one of his true callings in life, And he started working with Domino's Pizza. I love that. I love that that's a true calling in life. This year he celebrates 30 years as a logo. Yes, he's the logo. We're not going to tell you what he's a logo of. You need to go on and Google and see if you can figure out where his face appears as a logo. Actually, that means locally owned, great operator. Franchise of one, soon to be 2 Domino pizza shops in Concord. After experiencing a significant medical issue 6 years ago, Rik founded 2 additional passions in his life, peace and Solar Eclipses. He is currently the founder and CVO of 3 networks, the Logo Network, A Piece of Pizza for Peace, love that, and There's No Way to Peace, Peace is the Way, and the New Hampshire SETAF. SETAF. Not to be confused with SeaTac. I used to live in Seattle. That's the airport there. SETAF, Solar Eclipse Task Force. The sky's not the limit. It's just the beginning. And as always, you can find out more about his piece of pizza for peace.org. And somehow when I'm just getting that it's peace.org. I can't believe that that's actually, the real website. No. So I am going to have you on our first break, hop on tonight's post and push a full. Somehow when you sent it to me, it hibernated or it did something weird. So make sure you come in, Rik, and on the comment section on Facebook or after our show, make sure that you put your full websites on the comment section so people can find you. So, Rik, as you know, the first question to you is, where would you like to take our listeners outside the box? You can do anything. You can do Pizza for Peace. You can do the Solar Eclipse Task Force. You can do Logo, or you can do Why It's a Lovely Day in the Neighborhood. Where do you want to take our listeners outside the box? Go ahead.
I'd like to start with the 2 upcoming solar eclipses that are coming to the U.S. Unfortunately, when you have a total solar eclipse, you see a corona, and that's a positive corona, unlike the coronavirus that you slightly mangled the pronunciation of that a few minutes ago there, Dr. Kevin. But anyways, these are positive coronas, and solar eclipses are one of, I would say, the most spiritual, fun, and peaceful sights that humanity can experience. And we're going to have 2 of them coming to the U.S. not too far away. Well, first one is going to be on Saturday, October 14th, 2023. And the second one is going to be on Monday, April 8th, 2024. So they're only about 6 months apart. And the reason I'm so interested in them, besides just being a solar eclipse chaser, is that second one on Monday, April 8th, 2024, will actually go through my backyard. It's going to be 100% totality up in northern New Hampshire.
Okay.
So those are the 2 things I'd like to talk about, and I know we have limited time. I could talk about them for 10 hours or 20 hours instead of 10 or 20 minutes, but I can answer a specific question you might have, Dr. Kevin, or one of your callers might have. With it just about 4 years away, the one that's coming to New Hampshire, I've been setting up networks up and down the path of totality for the second one, and up and down the path of annularity for the first one. And I'm networking government and tourism officials, commerce folk like Domino's Pizza and other businesses, educators, teachers and students, especially science teachers, nonprofits, and of course astronomers, because they're paying attention to this ahead of time, even though it's a few years out. And we've already linked Coos County, Oregon, and Coos County, New Hampshire, as 2 counties that are now sister counties, and they're both first in the nation. Coos County, Oregon, because they're going to be the first to experience the 23 annular solar eclipse in Coos County, New Hampshire, because they're the first to officially declare it. And actually, in point of fact, we presently have House Bill 1382 in front of the New Hampshire House of Representatives to be first in the nation to declare Monday, April 8th, 2024, first in the nation solar eclipse holiday. And hopefully after we declare it first, I know the province of New Brunswick in Canada, and I think Arkansas and possibly Texas are looking at declaring it as well. And I'm telling our legislature that I'd rather be Armstrong as opposed to Aldrin. Certainly being Buzz Aldrin is good, but if I had my choice, I'd choose to be Armstrong instead of Aldrin. Be number one instead of number two.
That was Aldridge, right?
Nope. Aldrin, Buzz Aldrin was the second man to walk on the moon.
So first of all, because you gave us a lot of stuff, and I know the break stuff is going to come up in a second, but what I want you to answer for my listeners, so we've got 2 solar eclipses coming, and there's a plethora of different things that they mean depending on somebody, what somebody's spirituality is, what their belief system is, what their science is, what their geek is, all of that. My question that I want you to answer when we get back, and I want you to answer it, and again, we're getting ready to go to break any minute. So, but why should the everyday man, from your view, share this passion? Why should the everyday man care about a solar eclipse? And I'm hearing the sound of the music. We'll be right back with Rik Yeames, and we're going to have him expose the solar eclipse reasons when he gets back here on the Dr. Kevin Show.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes, where we're changing the world, wait for it, one ohm at a time. So, we have Rik Yeames. Rik is a person that wears many hats, and he is a locally owned great operator known as Logo. He is getting ready to own his second Domino's pizza shop. He is the founder and CVO of 3 networks, the Logo Network, networking each logo for the benefit of all, a piece of pizza for peace. There is no way to peace. Peace is the way. And New Hampshire CETAF, Solar Eclipse Task Force. The sky's not the limit. It's just the beginning. Rik, why should, besides the fun of, especially for a little kid, that first time they see a solar eclipse, it's a magical thing. And for some people, no matter how old they get, it's a magical thing. I get that part of it. Why do you think that the average person out there should care or share that passion that you have for it?
So the main reason is solar eclipses are global events. They're hit or miss. So you might have 2 within 6 months. You might have to go 30, 40, or 70 years in between solar eclipses. But they are huge events, and unlike a Super Bowl, Olympics, or World Cup, since no one yet has a patent on the sun, moon, or earth, as long as our illustrious administration doesn't get their Space Force up and running and put a patent on the moon, hopefully not, but I wouldn't put anything past our current administration. But as long as they don't do that, be it the fact that the sun, moon, and earth are unpatentable, anyone can monetize this, any local astronomy club, any local Kiwanis club or Rotary, any local business owner, any franchise like in pizza or burgers or chicken, or anyone can basically monetize this, network it. I love the fact hopefully some of the Kiwanis are interested in doing an annular calendar for 2023 and a total solar eclipse calendar for 2024. And because these eclipses will go across the country and involve so much of the country, they could sell this to their local Kiwanis chapters across the country. And that's not something you could do with a Super Bowl or Olympics or a World Cup. So I'd say that's the number one reason, because the solar eclipses belong to everybody.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say, that the major interest is for them to profit off of them.
Well, that is one of the interests, but it's the way I look at it. There aren't too many globally interesting, once in a lifetime events that local towns, local schools, local businesses, local nonprofits, local astronomy clubs could take advantage of. And out of those that they could, this is probably one of the best ones. If you're fortunate to have it in your backyard or be close to it, this is one of the best ones that you could take advantage of. And between the 23 annular eclipse, I think that goes through 6 or 8 states from Oregon down through Texas, and then the one 6 months later that goes, I think, through 11 states from Texas up to Maine. A lot of people could pay attention to this, network it, and I like to say people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. And the people that I'm networking with today realize that the time to network this and the time to pay attention to it is now, instead of waiting till 22 or 23 when everybody and their uncle and their sister is doing it. Rooms are disappearing, and I hate to say it, there might be some price gouging going on. All of a sudden, eclipse glasses, you can't get them locally. You got to go to Amazon. Maybe they come from China. Who knows? Again, people don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. And for an event like this that only comes around every couple decades, maybe into your area, even less, I'd say plan early as opposed to planning late.
Okay. So that's still and so I want to make this clear when I say this. I don't have any negative energy that the major draw is how to profit, how to be profitable off of this. And we live in a world where profit determines things. I mean, the quality of where you live, the quality of your education, the quality to do what you love. There are a lot of people that have miserable lives because they have miserable jobs because they have a job and they don't do something that they love. And so, and being able
I agree.
to do these things, so I'm not one of these people that look at making money as a bad thing. In fact, I teach quite the opposite. But of course, solar eclipses have, that they can have meaning. They can have meanings astrologically. There are different cults, or I should say cults, because people are all going to think negative. But certain religions, spirituality, belief systems that imbibe an eclipse with a certain energy or certain focus or whatever. And I just didn't know if any of that was playing in for you personally, or if this is just really a great business opportunity and you're taking advantage of it, which there's nothing wrong to that. So, go ahead.
I think it's a little bit of both. Like, my personal faith is interfaith. I am more into spirituality than I am any specific religion or dogma. So I feel that the spirituality around watching the moon fully cover the sun and seeing your second sunrise and second sunset of one day and seeing it above you, I think it moves you. I've been viewing a total solar eclipse where it's actually brought some of the people watching it to tears. And people realize when they watch the moon cover the sun up high in the sky and they see day turn into night in the middle of the day, the temperature drops, you see stars and planets at noontime or 2 in the afternoon that you never see unless you're taking a space shuttle out there. So I think it's very spiritual. I think it's fun. I also think it's very peaceful. When I viewed the 2017 Great American Eclipse out in Wyoming, I was in Casper, Wyoming to view that. It's the largest block party, neighborhood celebration, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever seen, because in other global celebrations like Olympics, a World Cup, or a Super Bowl, that occurs in one spot. An eclipse occurs across a continent. So wherever you are along that path, you get to share in this literally once-in-a-lifetime experience. So it's potentially you make of it whatever you want, but I do think that outside of the birth of your child, maybe a near-death experience, viewing a solar eclipse, especially a total solar eclipse, it makes you realize how insignificant and how tiny you really are in the vast scheme of the universe, and how lucky we are here on planet Earth, because the fact of the matter is the moon is about 1/400th the size of the sun. But it's also about 1/400th the distance from the Earth to the sun. And that cosmic coincidence allows solar eclipses to happen, because the moon is the right distance and the right size, and the sun's the right distance and the right size, as is planet Earth, that every 6 months in 23, 24, but normally every years to decades, we have this once-in-a-lifetime event, and if you happen to be fortunate enough to live in the area or to be able to travel, it's truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience, other than birth of your child or possibly a near-death experience. I would rate it definitely in the top 5.
So now you're getting to a place where I kind of see it, and I know you referred to it, and this is why I pushed it a little bit. My audience is wide and diverse, but OMTimes, the fact that that's the radio station that I'm on right now, tells you that, they may be a little bit more interested in the spiritual aspect of it than the financial aspect of it. But, one of the things here is a solar eclipse, we are living in such extremely toxic, divisive times. And a solar eclipse can be something that can act in its own way as a unifier, a shared experience, something that can use to be building on that can be used to talk a larger message. And to look at this again, to put things in perspective. We talked about, how tiny the moon is versus the sun and how tiny we are and stuff like this. But it isn't about small, it's about perspective. And if there's a time that perspective was ever needed in this country, in this world, now is it. We need to have that solar eclipse perspective of sometimes it can take something very small to put out the light, even if it's only temporarily.
Yes, I agree with you 100%.
So, so I was kind of interested in that part of things. That is to share that this could be something that people could rally around as a unifying event where it is about coming together with a shared experience and a shared interest and a shared celebration instead of focusing and exploiting our differences. We could use it as a way to find commonality that could open up conversations.
I agree. And just one other point I'd like to make. Since solar eclipses predate humanity, any field of study from history to sociology to psychology to art to obviously science and astronomy, all fields of study have a history with solar eclipses. In ancient times, they were feared before we knew the science and how eclipses actually happen. And even to this day, there are parts of the world where they fear them and they go inside and pull down the blinds. Eclipses have started wars and ended wars. Eclipse coins have been made back in ancient times with the Romans, and we actually had an eclipse stamp for the 2017 Great American Eclipse. Shout out here to Fred Espenak, Mr. Eclipse, who worked with the United States Postal System to create a total solar eclipse stamp, first stamp ever that when you rubbed it or breathed on it and created heat, it went from a black sphere to actually a picture of the moon.
Oh, cool. I hadn't seen that. That's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and definitely there's whole mythologies, there's whole histories, there's whole even spiritual/religious ceremonies, and there's all sorts of stuff. I mean, like you said, eclipses have been around longer than humanity has. And so, I mean, and the way we're going, they'll be around after we're gone.
Yeah, it's a timeless event. Now, here's another interesting fact. It's going to take far longer than I think humanity will be on the Earth, but each year the moon moves just a couple inches farther away from the Earth. So in the cosmic time scale of I don't know, a million years or 700, 800,000 years, at some point in time in the far, far distant future, solar eclipses will actually cease to exist, or total ones will, because the moon will be too far. We won't have that perfect 1/400th of a size, 1/400th of a distance that allows total solar eclipses to occur. And actually, the two coming up, the second one is a total. The first one is an annular. And in an annular eclipse, because of the rotation position of the moon, because it doesn't go around in a perfect circle, it's more a little bit elliptical. On an annular, the moon is a little bit farther from the Earth, so it doesn't totally cover the sun. It's actually called a ring of fire. There's a little bit of sun still exposed as a ring, and critical safety thing for all your listeners, during an annular, you cannot take off your solar eclipse glasses. You have to keep them on at all times. During a total solar eclipse, when the sun is totally covered, it is safe to take them off, and you actually want to do that so you can see the corona around it. And I'll use our illustrious administration again, our president. If you Google President Trump viewing the total solar eclipse, Great American Eclipse of 2017, you will notice the picture of him there is squinting up at the eclipse. That is not the way you want to view it. You do not want to look at the sun directly and squint and try to see it. Number one, you can't see it. Number two, you will do damage to your eyes. You want to use solar eclipse glasses. So thank you, President Trump, for demonstrating how not to view a total solar eclipse.
It's the least he could do. He demonstrated how not to be an ethical president. Why would he not, He's good at doing these things.
He's good for demonstrating how not to do something.
And there's the sound of our music, and we'll be back in a moment and finish up talking to Rik Yeames.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
911, what is your emergency?
My kid shot himself.
All right, where's the wound?
911, what's your emergency?
Please help. My son shot his brother. 911, what is your emergency? Okay. 911, please state your emergency.
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns.
It wasn't locked.
Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the last segment of this week's Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes. So we have tonight's guest is Rik Yeames. Rik has lots of different stuff he does, and if you want to read about all of it, you can go to facebook.com/mydrkevin. Rik will put some websites for us, but we're talking right now about his being the founder and CVO. I think I know what CVO means, so I'm going to ask you to define that just in case. For New Hampshire CETAF, Solar Eclipse Task Force. So, CVO. What
Chief
is CVO,
Visionary Officer.
That's what I thought you were going to say, and then I went, you know what? Don't make that assumption. He may come up with something completely different. I won't tell you the other words I thought of that started with V, but you can imagine.
Thank you, Dr. Kevin.
Yeah. Hey, you know, least I can do. So what I want to do now is our next segment that we usually cover is where do you want to take our people behind the curtain, expose them to a truth, something that has been misrepresented or not been represented well. And so we've only got one segment left. And so we can either do that segment or we can do What a Load of Crap, or we can try to bring in both, where you talk about something that's a load of crap in the world. So where would you like to start?
I think I'd like to share a couple of truths with your listeners.
Okay.
So the first one is, I believe that in today's networked world, I think it's much more networked horizontally than vertically, like silos, corporations, empires. I think we're turning into a horizontal world. And I think in today's networked world, it truly is all connected. And just as a personal example of that, one of my other hobbies, as my wife likes to call them, besides chasing total solar eclipses, is working on peace. And I have a project called A Piece of Pizza for Peace.org. And every International Day of Peace, every September 21st, myself and the other logo pizza shops in town, Sal's Pizzeria, Constantly Pizza, other local pizza shops, we lay down our pizza peels and our pizza forks for one day of pizza peace. And we have more people come buy pizza because they want to support peace. And the burger and chicken guys don't do as well on that day. So from our increase in sales, we donate to support peace locally and beyond. We support Greater Concord Interfaith Council. We support Peace Action New Hampshire, Kids for Peace, Building a Culture of Peace Forum. And we're peaceful and we work together, and it's a lot of fun. And so we have that one day. It's known globally as IDP, International Day of Peace, but in Concord, New Hampshire, it's I Dig Pizza Day. So that's a nice fit. And we decided a couple years ago that we needed a second day of pizza peace. And we didn't want to go in the summer because everyone's on vacation. We didn't want to go in the winter because there are weather conditions and the holidays. So we said, okay, well, we're going to go in the spring. And we wanted it about 6 months away from September 21st. So we settled on the month of March. And then all of a sudden we had an epiphany. And we realized that there's a certain day in March that would be really, really good for a peace pizza, peaceful day. Any idea, Dr. Kevin, what day we chose in March for pizza peace?
Don't tell me St. Patty's Day.
No, we did not pick St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, okay. Because that's the first holiday my Irish person thinks of, my Irish self thinks of as soon as we talk about, a March holiday. First day of spring.
No, but right in between those, we picked 3.14. And for all you mathematical number people out there, 3.14 is the value of pi, P-I. So now we have our second day, and we will be actually, for any listeners listening in near Concord, New Hampshire, 2 weeks from Saturday on 3.14 Pi Day, we will be at the New Hampshire Makerspace, Making Matters New Hampshire, the old BD Electric plant at 88 Village Street in Pennacook, and we'll be celebrating peace. We'll have pizza pie tables, we'll have dessert pie tables, and we'll have a mathematical pie table where we have pie problems for kids, pie demos. And the neat thing about pie is whether you're talking a marble or the sun, it's still pie. I'm not a math major, but I think it's the circumference divided by the diameter of any sphere or any circle always works out to be 3.14. But the way it's all connected is I didn't realize how important 3.14 was to everything astronomy related until we picked that day. And then all my NASA and Solar Eclipse and astronomy partners went, well, you know, that's a great day because on Pi Day, NASA puts out problems for kids and the world comes together around math. It's a nonpartisan day. It's math. It's not religious. It's Pi Day is perfect. So now I linked in my pizza and logo networks with my peace networks, and it all circles right back to Pi 3.14, which brings in all my astronomy, NASA, and all my space networks.
And you know what they say?
It's all connected.
When the moon's in the sky like a big pizza pie.
There you go. It's all, and I like to look at coincidences, God's way of remaining anonymous. So I run with that.
God's way of staying anonymous. Okay, that's an interesting way to put it. So you're gonna do the Pizza Pie Day, Piece of Pie Day for Peace, out there. So now you said two things. Was what you said tied up in both of those things, or was there a separate thing you also wanted to say?
Nope. There was one other thing that I wanted to touch upon. I think I got a couple minutes left, or we have a couple minutes left. So
Go ahead.
I'm fascinated myself with time. And I believe that today we live in a world where what used to take years, decades, and centuries to happen now takes minutes, weeks, and months to happen. And all you have to do is look at Airbnb, Uber, Amazon. These are empires, companies, but in the space of a very short time, maybe a decade and a half, they went from not even imagined to now an entity that is the largest transportation company on the planet, and they don't own a single car, truck, plane, train, or boat. And Airbnb, that's Uber. Airbnb is the largest hospitality entity on the planet, and they don't own a single room. So I think that where everyone used to say an idea whose time has come, I flip it, just like an eclipse flips things. I flip it and I say, I think we live in a world where a time whose idea has come. And my ideas are pizza and logos and peace and solar eclipses, and I just keep on looking for the right time to slide it in and grow horizontally and grow exponentially. I like to, instead of climbing the mountain to get to the top of a silo, I like to just step up 6 inches and use gravity to carry me near and far to the connections I need. And then I just climb up another 6 inches, connect people and entities, peace, pizza, and solar eclipses, and I'm off and running.
So if somebody says, hey, I think it would be a good idea for us as, because you and I are both in the state of New Hampshire, to jump on this. Now, you wanted to have an annual eclipse day, but eclipses happen. There is no annual eclipse.
No, but there's an annual count. There's an annual countdown. Like this April 8th, 2020, we are now T-minus 4 years to our eclipse. So hopefully we'll have the solar eclipse first in the nation. Bill will hopefully be maybe not to the governor's desk by April 8th, but maybe it might be past the House and in front of the Senate. So we can use April 8th as a countdown. And then October 14th, 2020, we can use that as the 3-year countdown to the first event. And I never stop thinking, Dr. Kevin, I've already figured out that even though we only have one coming through New Hampshire on Monday, April 8th, 2024, why don't we go ahead and use the second one that while it won't be 100% in New Hampshire, it'll still be 25, 30%. Let's use Saturday, October 14th, 2023 as a dress rehearsal, as a practice for our event 6 months later. We can make sure that emergency medical services are on board, that people realize, hey, we're going to have tens of thousands of people here in 6 months. We need to get ready. You got to think about things like, this is going to be all over northern New England and the Maritimes. Maybe we should look into getting some extra porta potties ahead of time before everyone else scoffs them up and we have to build some new ones. So many things to think about because an eclipse is going to affect everybody.
So now,
and I do admit, Dr. Kevin, I've been working on this for about 6 years. I started planning for these two eclipses on Tuesday, August 22nd, 2017, the day after I viewed the last one, knowing that in 7 short years that I was going to have one in my backyard. So I figured, well, I started planning for the 2017 one way too late. So for 2024, I'm going to start way early because the next one to come through New Hampshire is in 2079, and the odds of me networking that one or even seeing it are poor.
Well, why do you say that?
Because in 2079, I'll be 120.
Oh, you should still be flipping pizza pies.
I might be. My kids might see it. They'll be in their 80s.
Well, I keep on thinking about Halley's Comet and how, you know, if that it was, you get to see it once in your lifetime if you're, if you're lucky, if you're where it's passing over, but, because it's every 89 years. And, this sounds like it's got the same. Now,
this does, for coming to your backyard, it does have the same type of time frame. But again, the fact that we have 2 coming to the U.S. within 6 months, I don't know how rare that is, but it's pretty rare. And the fact that we can use the first one as a dress rehearsal or a warm-up for ours, and it'll stretch it out. Instead of everyone going crazy a few months or a year ahead of time, we can start a year and a half, 2 years ahead of time. And in point of fact, that's why I'm starting now to try to network first in the nation high school, first in the nation middle school, first in the nation church, first in the nation synagogue, first in the nation camp. I mean, many items and entities and people that are in these 2 paths a lot of them can be first. And if he can't be Neil Armstrong, there's always Buzz Aldrin to be available. But by the time you get down to the 10th or 15th person to walk on the moon, those people aren't remembered as much. Everybody remembers Neil and Buzz.
Everybody, what can you say? Everybody remembers a good Buzz.
There you go.
Before, because we're going to be coming up on music any minute now, what websites would you like to send people to? And then don't make sure that you go and post them all correctly on the Dr. Kevin page. So when people come to check it out. So
got it.
Your website.
So the first one is a piece, PIECE, of pizza for FOR, peace, PEACE.org. And the second one is
and our time is up. Go post them on the Facebook.
I will do that. Thank you, Dr. Kevin. Thank you, Dr. Kevin's listeners.